It's going against the grain to believe as big as you can and be willing to take very small steps. Yet that's what 99% of people must do to make a difference. One of the reasons people don't start small is that they can see a better starting place than where they are. If I could just be there, they think, then starting would be easier.
Welcome to Philosopher Insights, the podcast that delivers wisdom in minutes a day that you can put into practice daily and strive to master over a lifetime.
The podcast committed to sharing ideas that encourage you to bridge the gap between who you are today and the person you aspire to be in the future.
Hi, my name is Herb Lamba, and welcome to my podcast, where I will share practical insights from the world's best authors.
Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is. The quest to become the best version of you starts right now.
Hi, and welcome to Philosopher Insights. My name is Herb Lamba. Today we're discussing the power of significance, how purpose can change your life. The author of this book is John Maxwell, and it was published in 2017. I want to share a number of my favorite insights, starting with your best story, layering onto your why, stay in the game longer, intentional living, start with your one thing, start small, power of anticipation, and finish it off with your decision. So let's begin with the introduction. Quote, "What do you want in life? I believe that no matter what, deep down we all want the same thing. We want our lives to matter. We want our life stories to be of significance. We want to find our purpose, our individual way of making the world a better place, and to live it to the fullest. We can do things that matter and that can make the world a better place. I hope you believe that. If you don't now, I hope you will by the time you're finished reading this book. When I talk about significance, I'm not talking about being famous. I'm not talking about getting rich. I'm not talking about being a huge celebrity or winning a Nobel Prize or becoming the President of the United States. There's nothing wrong with any of those things, but you don't have to accomplish any of them to be significant. To be significant, all you have to do is make a difference with others wherever you are, with whatever you have, day by day. No matter what your beliefs are, I can tell you this. If your story isn't as meaningful or significant or compelling as you want it to be, you can change it. You can begin writing a new story, one with purpose, beginning today. Don't settle for being merely a teller of stories about significance. Decide to be the story of significance. Become the central character in your story of making a difference." End quote. Now that comes from the opening chapters of another brilliant book from John Maxwell. We all have this deep desire to feel significant, to contribute, and to be part of something meaningful. Here's the good news. You don't need to wait until you're older, wealthy, or famous to make a real impact. You can start being significant right now, if you understand your purpose. In this book, John Maxwell lays out a roadmap for living a life that truly matters. With over 50 years of experience helping people across the globe, he offers practical advice and motivation to kickstart your personal journey towards significance. Now, I'm eager to share a handful of my favorite insights, so let's jump right in. Insight number 1, your best story. Quote, "I often teach that we have two great tasks in life, to find ourselves and to lose ourselves. Ultimately, I believe we find ourselves by discovering our why. We lose ourselves while traveling the path of significance by putting others first. The result? The people we help also find themselves, and the legacy cycle can begin again. That cycle has the power to live on after us. When I die, I cannot take with me what I have, but I can live in others by what I gave." End quote. You know, I really can't imagine how anyone could hear that and not think, yes, that's what I want for my life. I mean, who wouldn't want to leave this world knowing that the seeds they planted are thriving in the lives of others? For me, it feels like a fascinating duality of self-discovery. It's about finding ourselves while also giving so much of ourselves to others. It's a beautiful balance, don't you think? Okay, here comes the not so great news. If you really want to live a life of significance, you've got to be ready to tackle some tough stuff that we often talk about on this podcast. It really means being okay with not being great at things right off the bat and stepping out of your comfort zone. You also need to ditch that "I'll try" mindset and embrace a "let's do this" attitude. Quote, "An attitude of doing also helps us to become who we were meant to be. It is this doing attitude that often leads to the things we were meant to do. While trying is filled with good intentions, doing is the result of intentional living." End quote. Now look no further than the wise Yoda, who really nailed it some years ago. I'm sure you remember that iconic line from Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. He said, "Do or do not. There is no try." It's such a powerful reminder that when it comes to our goals, we need to fully commit. There's no room for half-hearted attempts. It's all about taking action and believing in ourselves. Insight number 2, layering on your why. Quote, every time you use your strengths to live out your why, you build on your strength and increase your why. Living this way adds layers to your ability, purpose, credibility, and significance to your life. The more you do, the more you learn, because you are layering each experience into your life. Think about it like this. When you start off doing something, you are usually not very good at it, but with time and practice, you get better. After a while, you create layers of success you can build on, and you also build tremendous confidence as a result. End quote. There are so many reasons to love this idea. First and foremost, layering our successes really boosts our confidence. And when our confidence goes up, we're ready to tackle bigger challenges, which helps us get even better at what we do. If you think about it, this creates a wonderful cycle of growth. The more we achieve, the more confident we become, and that opens the doors to even greater opportunities. Here's another thought for you. Have you ever considered how wisdom compounds over time? If not, let me share what I mean. Unlike just plain knowledge, wisdom builds on itself. Each experience doesn't just pile on more facts. It actually changes how we see things. So the more you live, learn, and reflect, the more your wisdom compounds, creating a powerful foundation for navigating life's challenges. Insight number 3, stay in the game longer. Quote, have you ever known someone who died soon after retiring? I have. Why does this happen? Because people have a harder time living without a why to live for. What incentive do people have to keep living when there's no purpose for their actions, no reason to get out of bed each morning? I don't even want to retire. I'm like my dad. I want to keep living and keep giving until I've got nothing left. End quote. I really think it's time to flip the script on what retirement means. Why do so many people dream about not having to work, but then pass on soon after they retire, or in many cases end up going back to work? Now you see that many are redefining retirement not as a complete stoppage of work, but as a transition to purposeful activities that may or may not generate income. If you want to live a fulfilling life, retire from work, but don't retire from living a meaningful life. Insight number 4, intentional living. Quote, let me clarify what I mean when I talk about intentional living. I'm describing a life that brings you daily satisfaction and continual rewards for merely working to make a difference, small or large, in the lives of others. Intentional living bridges the gap between your purpose and a life that matters. Good intentions won't get you there. End quote. All right, let's evaluate this John Maxwell wisdom bomb for a moment. It's like he's asking us, hey, where's your mental zip code these days? Are you living in Good Intentionville, where everyone's got a Pinterest board for dreams, but never quite gets around to buying the supplies? You know, that place where someday is basically the town motto. Yeah, we've all been there, scrolling through #life goals while binge watching our favorite TV shows. Or have you packed your bags and moved to intentional living land? That's where today isn't just another day of the week. It's a call to action. It's like waking up every morning and saying, all right, world, let's do this. Insight number 5, start with your one thing. Quote, I believe everybody has one thing that they do better than anything else. The right place to start is with your one thing. I learned this from my dad. In fact, it was a Maxwell house rule when I was growing up. When we were kids, my dad's message to my brother, sister, and me was to find your strength, your one thing, and stay with it. He never encouraged us to try to do a lot of different things. He wanted each of us to do one thing exceptionally well. What's your one thing? What do you have the potential to do better than anyone else? Do you have a sense of what that is? If not, then ask people who know you well, or look at your history. Don't think about what you can't do. Think about what you can do. There is always a starting line. You just need to find it. End quote. Now let me tell you the first person that came to mind after reading that. Legendary golfer Tiger Woods. Why? Because Tiger Woods exemplifies finding and pursuing one's one thing with exceptional focus. He identified his talent early. His father recognized Tiger's golfing potential at the age of 2. He focused on development. Earl Woods nurtured Tiger's golfing abilities exclusively. He achieved mastery. Tiger achieved unparalleled success, turning pro at 20 and dominating the sport. He's had a transformative impact. His focus revolutionized golf, inspiring a new generation of players. Tiger's journey demonstrates how identifying and committing to your one thing can lead to extraordinary achievements and lasting impact in your chosen field. Insight number 6, start small. Quote, most people want to believe big and start big, or believe small and start small. It's going against the grain to believe as big as you can and be willing to take very small steps. Yet that's what 99% of people must do to make a difference. One of the reasons people don't start small is that they can see a better starting place than where they are. If I could just be there, they think, then starting would be easier. but the only place anyone can start is where he or she is." End quote. Well, the bottom line is that you'll almost always find advice in success books about the importance of starting small. Just to be clear, this isn't about thinking small. That's not what anyone is suggesting. It's about taking those tiny steps while chasing your big dreams and ideas. That's really the best way to kick things off. Insight number 7, power of anticipation. Quote, "There is a door of opportunity before you. Maybe you see it, maybe you don't, but it is there. If you have positive anticipation, you assume it's there, and you make the effort to find it. And if you are diligent in that effort, you will find it. But know this, it may be locked, and it may require a lot of effort for you to unlock it and walk through it. What usually makes the difference? Anticipation. When you have positive anticipation, you believe you can open the door. And if you anticipate that something positive could be on the other side, you will try to open it." End quote. Here John's hitting us with some door-opening wisdom. Just because you mustered up the courage to crack open that initial door doesn't mean you've reached the final boss level of your life. Nope. It's more like unlocking the first level in your Life of Significance video game. Why is that? Because one door leads to another, then another, and before you know it, you're in a hallway of infinite possibilities. It's not a one-and-done situation. Now here's the important part. Don't let the gap between what you hope for and what you're seeing right now bum you out. That gap, it's not a pit, it's a launching pad. Don't let it kill your buzz or squash your sense of what if. Insight number 8, seeds of intentionality. Quote, "Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." Though each of these lines comes within the context of a story, it communicates an important life lesson that can never be given too early to kids. The sooner they understand the value of living intentionally, the more quickly they can start living a life of significance. End quote. So after nearly 200 episodes, I finally got to weave in the wisdom of Dr. Seuss. John's message here is crystal clear. Passing on the idea of intentionality to our kids is crucial. It's those bedtime stories our parents read to us that truly shape our values and inspire us, even from a young age. These books have the power to leave a lasting imprint, guiding us as we grow. So, let's make sure we're sharing those meaningful stories that encourage our children to think big and act with purpose. Insight number 9, your decision. Quote, "Now you know how to live a life of purpose. You know that significance is within your reach. You know what it means to be intentional. So I want to ask you a series of questions. See how many you can honestly answer yes to. Are you choosing to live a story of significance? Are you choosing to live with intentionality, not just good intentions? Are you willing to start small but believe big to make a difference? If you answered yes to all these questions, or if you're willing to answer yes and take action now, then you have crossed over into the significant life. You are tapping into the power of significance, and you will make a difference." End quote. John challenges us to be the authors of our own lives. It's about making conscious decisions that align with our values and contribute to something greater than ourselves. Living a story of significance means actively shaping our narrative, rather than passively letting life happen to us. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of another great book from John Maxwell. If you love today's insights, I would encourage you to listen to some of the other Maxwell books I've featured on this podcast. In episode 158, I focused on high road leadership. Episode 122, the 16 undeniable laws of communication. And in episode 95, we talked about change your world. Until next time, remember to stay curious and keep embracing the wonders of knowledge. Talk to you soon. You've been listening to Philosopher Insights with your host, Herb Lambert. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.